All right, we are back for part 2 of Waverly's interview. Stay tuned.
This is crazy, but I'm gonna say this anyway. You chose him. You chose her.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now they are the spawn of Satan. But you chose them and had kids with them. So find that one thing, that half a thing, that fourth of a thing.
Right. That little glamour.
Just, I mean, you can't even see the distance between my thumb and my index finger. I mean, whatever it is, just find it and focus on that positive and get through it.
Dig deep.
Dig deep, yes. But you chose that rascal, as my grandfather would say. Women are by nature relational. They go to the bathroom together. We'll be back.
Right, the whole table gone. All at the same time, your bladder.
All at the same time. You've never seen 4 dudes. Right. You ain't never seen that. Get up. We'll be back. You never seen it, and you never will. Because women are relational. Y'all in there talking about it. Y'all ain't even use a bathroom. Y'all in there talking about us. Can you believe what that boy got on? I can't believe he came to this dinner with. I'm supposed to be in there using the restroom. Y'all in there clowning, talking about us. What I'm like, well, I'm just gonna leave. No, you can't leave. If you leave, let me stop.
You're right.
But men are occupational. First question we ask, hey man, what you do for a living?
Yeah.
Where you work? What are you doing? How much money you make? We want to measure ourselves against one another for some crazy reason. I don't know. I don't get that. But to answer your question, I don't trust a man who says he can't cry, because that same man could get angry. Mm-hmm. And that's an emotion too. Crying is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And if you can get angry, you certainly can cry. And I know you grew up underneath the circumstance. Oh, you scrape your knee. Oh, get up, boy. You ain't supposed to cry. No, it ain't true. It's not how God designed us. God designed us with tear ducts. Very simple, right? He designed us with tear ducts. So that means we should have the ability to cry. Period. And we got to come off of what society may dictate to us. And we got to come off feeling crazy because we cried.
All right, we're going. Let's shift towards now. Okay, the co-parenting space. Okay. How, again, you share as much or as little as you want, but sure. With your co-parenting relationship with your ex-wife, how is that? Let me just ask, how is it?
Well, it's taking work, but I think we've gotten to a place where we understand one thing. It's about our children. What we had is what we had. We respect each other. But we're no longer together, and that's okay. That's part of the problem with co-parenting. One or the other feels like they should still be with that person, and they send that person, or they think they send that person through hell, when actually the only people they're affecting are the children. So it's taken work. We've had our trials, we've had our situations and circumstances, but at the end of the day, I believe that we respect one another. We just had a co-parenting situation a couple of weeks ago, last week, where my ex called me on something concerning one of our kids, and we were in agreement, and we dealt with it from that place of agreement. We ruffled some feathers, but at the end of the day, we understood that it was about our kids, and we dealt with it from that perspective. You got to be mature to be a co-parent. Yes. You can't try to beat the your baby mama up, your baby daddy, because your kid's looking at you like, I know he ain't say that about my mama. I know he ain't do that about my dad. Yeah. So you have to be in that space of maturity to let it be about the main thing, which is about the kids. That's it. That's all, because that's who's going to be affected by your behavior, by your decisions, by everything that you say and do that may not be positive about the other parent. One of the rules in my house is we don't speak ill of our co-parent.
That's awesome.
At any point, and I'll be like,
okay.
Right. I can't speak for what goes on over there.
Right.
And I won't, because that's her space. And I respect it as her space. But over here, I have a certain standard.
Yeah. I love that, because as a mediator, a lot of the cases that I deal with, because I do both civil and then family and divorce. So there's two totally separate types of issues that are brought that needs to be discussed. But in the family cases that I end up mediating, that's one of the first things and the biggest things that I have to kind of, to explain and to show that you have to put your kids first anytime you're going through a breakup, a divorce, or you're now in a co-parenting situation, or you're now in a blended family situation. Let all of your decisions be based with what's best for the kids.
Yes.
So my question for you is, what can you give to our listeners, or say to our listeners, as either suggestions or advice or a tip or whatever, when it comes to how putting their kids first, when there's so many emotions, there's a lot of hurt and betrayal between them and their partner or their ex-partner? What can you tell them of how to get in that mind space of putting the kids first?
Well, a point that we talked about earlier that was unrelated to this topic, but it's still the same thing: forgive.
Yep.
Well, they forgive. Well, what about forgive? Forgive, just forgive. Well, I forgave him once, and they forgive. I know how that feels. Hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I get it. But what's at stake here? We're trying to produce healthy, productive members of our society. God has entrusted them to our care. And we don't want our generations to be jacked up because mom and dad couldn't get along. And now I'm grown and I don't know how to work out my interpersonal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, I'll say it's that simple.
It is really that simple. Yes.
Yes. And I want to make sure for anyone who's listening, simple is not the same as easy. So trust and believe. We understand it's not easy.
Right.
but it is simple.
Mm-hmm.
I love when no matter what question a person may ask or may have, you can give that same response over and over and over. And I love to do that too, because after like the sixth or seventh time, they're like, okay, so that's it. Like, so that's all I have to do. Like, yes.
Same thing I told you last week. That's what I'm telling them.
Right.
Same thing I told you 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Did I say something different to you? No, you didn't.
I love that. Anything when it comes to co-parenting before we shift to the blended family portion, and then let me know how you are on time if I need to.
I'm great.
Okay, cool.
I'm great.
Cool. So we're going to shift to blended family next. But when it comes to co-parenting, is there anything else that you want to share? Anything that may have come to mind before we go to the next topic?
Yes. This is crazy, but I'm gonna say this anyway. You chose him. You chose her.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Now they are the spawn of Satan. But you chose them and had kids with them. Mm-hmm. So find that one thing, that half a thing, that fourth of a thing.
Right. That little glamour.
Just, I mean, you can't even see the distance between my thumb and my index finger. I mean, whatever it is, just find it and focus on that positive and get through it.
Dig deep.
Dig deep, yes. But you chose that rascal, as my grandfather would say.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny you said that, because that's something I say it all the time. I'm like, okay, you're in this situation, but you have to understand you have to take responsibility for it. And the first thing is be responsible for the fact that you chose this person. You brought this person into your life. You decided to have kids with this person. You decided to move in together, on and on and on. So, and, that doesn't always, go over well, because people are like, but that doesn't help me. It is once you understand that, so you don't do it again.
And a message to single people: evaluate who you gonna have kids with.
Please.
Evaluate who you're gonna have kids with. Please.
Explain to them how to evaluate a person that they're maybe laying with.
Ask questions. Ask questions. No questions off limit. Do you take a bath? Do you shave? Do you brush your teeth? How do you handle anger? What is your relationship with your mom? What is your relationship with your dad? Where did you grow up? What belief system did you have? Do you chew with your mouth open? Do you snore? I mean, it sounds so ridiculous, right? It just sounds like this dude is off his rocker. This dude is out here clowning, acting a straight fool. No, I'm not. Because there's nothing worse than looking over at that person and being like,
right. Like, I didn't know they chew. I never noticed. And that bothers me. And now it's a pet peeve.
Now it's a pet peeve. Now it's like, now you just upset.
Right. Over
you leave your socks in the middle of the floor. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Do you clean your kitchen? How's your bathroom look?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Do you make up your bed? I mean, How
Yes.
long do you go between washing your clothes?
Yes. Yes. Because it's those daily, minute, the things that we don't really tend to think about, or the things that we may not just in general put weight on or focus on. It's those things that add up that then cause that
Yeah.
little first rift.
Yeah. Do you put the toilet tissue on the back side, rolling down, or on the other side? Whole argument.
Right, right.
Do you roll the toothpaste tube, or do you just squeeze from the middle? You know what I'm saying? What do you do? Oh my goodness. I
Yes,
promise you.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, those are important, even though they may seem small and they may seem like, "Ah, who cares about that? This person over here, they look how, do you see what I'm looking at? Yeah, but you need to understand their quirks. You know, you need to know, or do they have certain habits that are going to just kind of, nag you or get on
Yeah.
your nerves or whatever, because it's the day to day that you have to consider.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Ah,
That's right.
thank you for that tip for our single parents, or just those who are single.
Just single period. Yeah.
Single period. Exactly. Oh, awesome. All right, let's shift to blended family. So, how was that for you as a parent? And then we're going to talk about from the kids' perspective, because
Lord.
blending families for kids, we have to consider that as well, and not many people do. So, go ahead.
Well, let me say this, and this is a full transparent moment. Me and my wife, because we knew each other for so long, we did, but we didn't necessarily all the way we should have considered our kids. And the first 2 years we paid for that. Just because of just the sheer difference of dynamics. You know, I'm I'm like a lawyer in the courtroom. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm a reason with you. I'm gonna help you understand. Like, okay, you do know that was stupid, right? And, we shouldn't do that because of this, that, and the third. And my wife is like, I'm about to get you for that. Just clowning. But we were different. She had her set of parenting skills, and I have mine, and we still do. And we're just now coming to a point where we see the value in each other's parenting style. So it's a difference, and our kids are more receptive now, and everybody has a great relationship. So it's not like we got problems of great grandeur, you know, but the blended family is a blender.
Mhm.
It is a blender, like your little ninja blender that you just throw stuff in. All kind of stuff flying out. It's a mess until you put the lid on it. That's exactly what it is. And you got to be able to weather that and give and take. Recently, I have a 13-year-old son. She has a 13-year-old son. So recently, and this is why it's good to also have buy-in, because his father and I have a great relationship and we agree on him. And recently, mom has turned the reins over to me because he's a young man now, and I have to deal with him from that perspective. And it was hard for her because that's mama baby. And I understand that, and I get it. But I've been telling her, hey, look, you're speaking to the 13-year-old, but I'm addressing the 18-year-old,
Ooh.
the 21-year-old.
Mhm.
Because you got to have both in a house. You got to have fathers that give direction and accountability, and you got to have mothers that nurture. And that's good. And you need that, right? You've got to have that. But the problem with just having one is that they grow up off balance. Mm-hmm. And I'm not picking on moms when I say this, but I am saying this. A woman will nurture a boy. A woman will nurture a boy because that's who she is. And that's not a problem. I'm going to be clear on that. But she will nurture a boy into a place that she can no longer tolerate as a man. Yeah. And so you need pops in there to say, hey, hold on, boy, what are you doing? Hold on a minute. Stop that. Get that in order. Where is this? What's going on with this? What you supposed to do this? You need both of those to work together. Because if you don't, again, you're going to grow up and not be balanced. So I say this to single mothers. If you have, a co-parenting situation where the father is present, I'm not talking about a bum. I'm talking about where he's present and accountable, and you have a young man, it may be time for you to turn the reins over. Not because you're not doing a great job, but because there's something in him that needs to be instructed that God didn't design you for. That's tough. Yeah. But it's a reality. Yeah. One of the greatest things that my mother ever told me was, son, I can't teach you how to be a man on one premise. I don't have the right anatomy. She said that to me. And so God blessed me to be around men who understood manhood, and I was able to grow up underneath their example and leadership and coaching and instruction and correction and accountability, all of that. So mama, it doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean that you're not a good mama. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that he's a grown man inside a 13-year-old, and that 13-year-old is fighting with that grown man that he's becoming. He needs another man to stand over him and say, all right, boy, this is what you do. And vice versa. If you're a single dad and you got a daughter and mama's present and accountable, maybe it's time for you to turn her over.
Ooh, that's just like you said, it's reality. It's reality.
It is reality.
It is reality. You mentioned something about the how it's important for children to be balanced with both the father and the mother, because each parent is going to instill different things. One of the things that you mentioned as far as the mother is the emotional side, or the nurturing side rather. It brought up a question I want to ask you dealing with emotions and with the, from a male's perspective. So from the male's perspective, what would you say to other men who have a tough time with understanding their emotions, with breaking through that stigma of, oh, men don't cry. If men show emotions, it's them showing that it's a sign of weakness. That type of mentality or thought process or belief. What can you talk to that type of male right now?
Okay. So a couple of things. Women are by nature relational. They go to the bathroom together. We'll be back.
Right, the whole table gone. All at the same time, your bladder.
All at the same time. You've never seen 4 dudes. Right. You ain't never seen that. Get up. We'll be back. You never seen it, and you never will. Because women are relational. Y'all in there talking about it. Y'all ain't even use a bathroom. Y'all in there talking about us. Can you believe what that boy got on? I can't believe he came to this dinner with. I'm supposed to be in there using the restroom. Y'all in there clowning, talking about us. What I'm like, well, I'm just gonna leave. No, you can't leave. You leave. Let me stop.
You're right.
But men are occupational. First question we ask, hey man, what you do for a living?
Yeah.
Where you work? What are you doing? How much money you make? We want to measure ourselves against one another for some crazy reason. I don't know. I don't get that. But to answer your question, I don't trust a man who says he can't cry, because that same man could get angry. Mm-hmm. And that's an emotion too. Crying is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And if you can get angry, you certainly can cry. And I know you grew up underneath the circumstance. Always scrape your knee. Oh, get up, boy. You ain't supposed to cry. No, it ain't true. It's not how God designed us. God designed us with tear ducts. Very simple, right? He designed us with tear ducts. So that means we should have the ability to cry. Period. And we got to come off of what society may dictate to us. And we got to come off feeling crazy because we cried. I would tell you this as a musician, as a father, as all of those different things. I still cry in movies sometimes. It's crazy. People are like, what? What, you would say that? Something wrong with this boy. No. I'm not sitting here telling you I cried at like Frozen or something like that. That's not what I'm saying.
He said, wait a minute, let me be clear.
That's not what I'm saying.
Like, hold up.
But what I am saying is, if it happens, I'm good. I'm still a man. I'm still going to be a man. Period. And your sons need to see you. Your sons need to see you cry. I remember me and my son, who was about to turn 16, we had a very tough stretch. And I sat him, and after the war was over, I sat him down and I told him, I said, what's your name? He said, my name is Micah. I said, what's your last name? He said, Kelly. I said, what's my last name? He said, Kelly. I said, that means something. I said, no matter where you go, what you do, you always gonna be a Kelly. Your sister gonna grow up and she gonna meet a dude and she'll get married and her name will change. But your name will never change. And I started crying. And he was like, he just looked at me like, I said, you if you're in prison, you're my son. If you're on the other side of the world, you're my son. And if you die tomorrow, you will still be my son. There is nothing that you can do to change that. And I want you to understand that. And out of that emotion, he saw me and I saw him, and he understood exactly what I was saying. They got to see that. Your daughter's got to see that. She's got to see that, because she needs to understand that a man can be. Here's some more Bible. David is out in the field writing love songs to God, right? But when he gets in battle, he slays guys. And this is graphic, but we're gonna say it. He slays guys and cuts off their foreskins and brings them back. This same dude who was out in the middle of nowhere writing love songs and talking to sheep, turns around and kills a bear and a lion with the bear having or the lion having the sheep in his mouth, killed the lion and didn't hurt the sheep. Mercy. She's got to see that dichotomy of emotion in you so that she'll understand and he'll understand it's okay to be a complete person. Your wife got to see it. Your girl got to see it. So she understands, you know, hey, I'm all man, but I got a side to me too. And I'm not falling apart when I'm crying, but I'm present. I'm present. I'm here. I'm present in the moment. I've had to apologize to my wife. And when I was apologizing for whatever, tears started running down my face. Got her attention. She understood. And it'll make your woman cover you more. It'll make her help you more if she can see that from you.
Absolutely. Whew. So you said that with your son, you were able to be there for your son because you're an active father, you're a present father, and you were able to explain that and also show it to your son. What about those listeners whose fathers either were not in their lives or the fathers who were in their lives but did not show emotions, spoke negative about emotions that ended up stunting or stuffing the emotions in their son, the now listener, and now they are having a hard time with accepting that emotions are okay outside of, oh, the angry, the, you know, I'm big, I'm bad, I'm tough. It's easy for them to show those emotions. But what about those who did not have a father to explain and show and break down the importance of them having emotions as well? What first step, what piece of advice, what suggestion can you give them to start either the acceptance process or to start that breakthrough of being open to being emotional?
Several things. Number one, you got to let God know where you are, and you got to be open and honest about that. I want every man in here to understand that I didn't meet my dad. I didn't meet my biological father until I was 29 years old. So I understand. Okay. So you got to let God know where you are. And you have to, well, a few things. You have to, number one, be open to talking to somebody else that's qualified to hear you. For some reason, Black men don't want to go to counseling. It's changing. But what I need to go sit down and talk to somebody for? You need somebody to help you process it, get through it, help you understand where you are. There's nothing wrong with praying because we believe in that. And we believe in allowing God to know where we are so that he can help us. And having a counselor, having somebody who you can talk to. Counselor doesn't take the place of God. The counselor aids God in the process, much like a physical doctor. You pray that God will heal you, but you also go see the doctor. Same thing. You got a doctor for your body. You may need a doctor for your head, your soul. Number three, you have to realize what's at stake. Your son, your daughter's at stake. Do you have the ability to change for them? Just about every change I've ever made in my life was for my kids, to be a better father. So I have to recognize that I have to be an example to them. I have to help them. And for those who didn't have their father growing up, let me say this to you. You don't know what you didn't miss and what you didn't get. I am fully convinced that some people fulfilled their assignment at conception.
Yes.
I am fully convinced that some people fulfilled their assignment at conception.
Yes. I believe that. Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't have the ability to do what they needed to do concerning you. So God sent supplements into your life to help you along. And you still became what God destined for you to become. So don't lament over what you think you lost, because you don't know what you didn't get. I'm convinced of that. Your life could have been so much worse as a result. So much worse as a result. But God in his infinite wisdom said, nope. And many times it was just you and him. I get it, because I was there. And I know what I didn't, and I know what I thought I wasn't getting, but I got to a point where I understood why God did it. And when I understood that, it made all the difference in the world for me. You got to walk with God long enough for him to answer the questions that you asked years ago. And sometimes he may never answer. But he's got you. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to forsake you. And he's not going to leave you in a place of being incapacitated based on a void that wasn't filled. That's rough. I know, but it's right. And you're looking at a witness who went through it. I was 29 when I met my dad for the first time. And immediately I began to understand why he wasn't around until then. And why God did in me the way he did it. I hope that answers the question.
It more than answered. And I know you may have stated, to the men or to the sons, but I want to go ahead and make this statement as well. You spoke to girls as well. You spoke to women as well, those whose fathers are not in their lives either. The specific part, because when you stated it, that's why my reaction was like, ooh, because that's something that I also speak and reassure those about whenever their parent or father, mother, whomever is not in their lives, is that sometimes a person is totally done with their purpose in your life when you're born. It's not necessarily meant for them to actively parent you. So when you specifically stated the assignment was fulfilled at conception, I immediately knew and understood what you were discussing. And I was like, that goes to women too.
Yes, it does. It does.
Oh man, I appreciate you sharing those specific things, because with a lot of it doesn't, like, there's a lot of people who are hurting, and their hurt, no matter how old they are, their hurt tends to stem back when they were a child. And it's a lot of times because the father was absent, or the father was not an active, emotional parent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Anything else you want to say about that portion before I shift? Because I don't want to shift too
No,
soon.
I think I'm good. I'm glad that you followed that up with speaking to ladies because it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I guess so, I guess if I could say one thing to women, don't look for what you think you didn't get in your spouse
Mm-hmm.
because that's too great of a burden for a man.
Ooh, yes.
He can't be what you didn't get. He has to be what you receive from God. Period.
Perfect way to end that. That's a perfect segue, what we were just discussing, to now personal development. Because everything that we've talked about, we've been discussing personal development this whole time.
Yes.
But now let's talk about it specifically. Because everything that we've talked about so far has dealt with what does the individual need to do? What's the thought process they need to have, the belief system. What is your belief system? What steps, here are steps that you can take. For you, what were your steps that you took when you were on your personal development journey from being the person you were in your past to who you are today, the healthy person that you are today?
Well, first of all, I'll 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 let somebody else call me healthy. I'm not sure. you
Or
know,
healthy, your version, improved.
yeah, I'm just on a quest for uh life in peace and godliness. And anytime you're on that quest, God will raise up something and say, you need to look at this. And you're like, oh.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So we'll say the more improved version.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I intend to hope to be a healthy person. So I appreciate that. So for me, I just knew based on what I saw around me that if I was going to be better, then I had to be intentional about being better. Many people just feel like they're going to fall over into better. And they don't have the work ethic to challenge themselves at a level to change whatever it is that's going on. Well, my mama was like this. Yeah. Well, my dad, yeah. But what are you going to do? Well, I can't help it. It's just, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Challenge yourself beyond your present circumstance to be something different if you want change. And that's what I always point to. People say, well, I wanted to know you don't. What are you doing different?
Mm-hmm.
You want to change? You do. No, you don't, because you're not doing anything different. You're doing the same thing your daddy did. Doing the same thing your mama did, your grandmama did. What is different about you? One of the greatest days of my life is when I sat at dinner with my father. He died the very next year after this dinner. And he said to me, he said, son, I want you to understand how proud I am of you because you've done things differently in your life than I've done in mine. You've got this, you've got that, you are this, you are that. And I was none of those things. And you've taught me a lot about character and integrity, watching you. Floored me. But it was validation for me from my father that I made a conscious decision to do something different. And you got to make that choice. You have got, it's hard. It's generational. See, I told my son, I said, I'm only a bridge. I told my son this. I said, I'm only a bridge. But y'all are supposed to be the train that comes across the tracks. I'm the tracks. Based on our history, based on our family history, all of this stuff, I made a course correction through the help of God. So if I don't ever see the success that I believe I'm going to see, that I believe God has shown me, all of that, fine. As long as I set you all up differently than the way I was, I've done my job. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, number 9 in her class, 4.1 GPA, going to somebody's school next year. My son looks like he's turning into a D1 athlete. Okay. You know, fine. My 13-year-olds are smart, incredibly smart, gifted. 22-year-old daughter's doing her thing. And this 7-month-old, we don't know what she's going to do, but she's going to be something. A bridge. So that they don't have to go through the things that I went through. You got to make that decision. And you got to be willing to sacrifice yourself in order to change the trajectory of your family. Personal development. So, read. Lord have mercy. Read. Go get a book and turn the TV off, turn social media off, and read. Go to school, take classes, something. Get around people who have mastered what you are trying to do. My mentor says this, and I love it. Go in a room that scares you to death, where you got to sit a minute and look around and see what's going on, and you don't know what's going on in that room, but you in there. They talking all over your head, and you got to ask somebody, hey, what did she say? What
that mean?
What that mean? Go in those kinds of rooms, because those rooms are going to help you and elevate you and lift you to a point where, okay, now I got it. Now I got my legs underneath me. Now I kind of understand what's going on. And before you know it, you become proficient. And then before you know that, you become an expert. But get into spots where you challenge yourself. Like, oh my God, like what I'm doing right now with you on a podcast is challenging myself, because I normally have notes and, a whole outline, and I'm, ready to go, and I got a message and I got a scripture, and God said, get on these podcasts and just let them rapid fire at you. And let's see what you got. Challenge. That's what I mean. Man, if you can't cook, go take some cooking classes. If you don't know how to communicate, go take a communication class. Go take a relationship class. Go do something that challenges you so that you can be better. That's all. That's all it is. You're not in competition with anybody else. You're in competition with the person you were yesterday. What does that person look like? Did the person yesterday beat the person today, or did the person today beat the person yesterday? That's the question. I'm learning some stuff now, some technical stuff, and here and there, and I'm looking at this stuff, and it might as well be hieroglyphics. It might as well be German and Greek. What is this? But I'm gonna get it. You bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna get it. And I'm gonna be cold when I finish it. I'm like, boy, that boy good. Because it's the challenge of the moment. And when you can do that, you have a right to expect that from others. The problem is we're hanging around people who don't want nothing. And we're trying to go get something. And we're trying to figure out why we're struggling is because our environment dictates the struggle. If you want to know your net worth, look around the last 5 people you've been seriously consistent with. That's your net worth. So I got in a room with millionaires the other night.
Okay. Okay.
You understand? I got a room with millionaires. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm on my way because I got in the room. They talk about all kinds of stuff. I'm just like, oh, what? I didn't know you could do what? No, let me take this note here.
Right.
Oh, okay. Let me read this. Oh, that's how you do. Oh. That's what we got to do. But you hanging out with your boys. You hanging out with your girls. Get around people. Man, the world is so big, and this is what God impressed on my heart. And this is why I'm on your show. God impressed on my heart a few weeks ago. He said, I own the whole world. Yeah. I own the universe. I put the stars in the sky. I put the sun up there. I put the moon up there. I put the planets up there. I put all of that, all of these solar systems and galaxies. And then I created the world, the earth in which you live on. And preachers settle for the church. What's wrong with you? I said, I don't know. But I'm going to get it right. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Everything belongs to him. So get around people who don't look like you, act like you, talk like you, think like you, eat like you, smell like you. Because that's what's going to sharpen you. If all your friends look like you, it ain't really going to help you much. You got to have friends that look like somebody who you wouldn't even think you would associate with. Because that mentality and that way of living and that standard of understanding and that systematic way that they live will make an impression on you and change you, stretch you. We don't have to have the same belief system in order for me to learn something from you. And people are offended by packaging instead of getting past the packaging and looking in and seeing the contents and discovering, oh my God, I need what this person has. Yeah. That's that. Personal development in a nutshell to me.
Right. Well said. Well said. So I hate to have to do this. I don't want to cut our conversation off at all. As I can keep going and going and going. But I have to respect your time too. But before I close out, what's one last thing based off of everything that we either discussed today or something we did not discuss today? What's one last thing you want to share with our listeners today?
And I close with this all the time. So people who know me are going to view this and know exactly what I'm about to say. Know without a shadow of a doubt that God is for you. He is in love with you as his creation. He is not mad at you. He is madly in love with you and wants you to prosper in your life, in your relationships, in your money, every part of your life. God wants to partner with you and raise the standard of your life. And he will do that through his love, through his blessing, through his favor, and his correction. Yeah. The Bible says who God loves, he corrects. So don't take it personally if God sends a check your way. He's trying to get something to you, which is a blessing. And know this, Romans 8:28 says, for we know, and this is my favorite scripture. If I was to get a tattoo, this would be the tattoo. Okay. Okay. I don't have one because I'm scared, but if I were to get one, this would be my tattoo.
Okay, okay.
Romans 8:28. For we know, not hope, not think, not wish, not believe. We know all things, everything that we've ever gone through, everything, all things work for the good of them that love God and are the called according to his purpose. We know it. He didn't say it was good to you. He said it was good for you. It might go down like grandma's castor oil. Yeah, but in the end, you wake up the next day and you're like, oh man, I'm better.
It was worth it.
It was worth it. There it is. Whatever you've gone through in your life, it was worth it. And God will never use anything that you lost to bless you. He will always use what you have left. And if they left, they were never meant to stay.
That's how you gonna leave us like that? You got us just like hanging on every word. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so there's two questions. There's a combination of two questions that I like to ask as we come to a close. And this is just to have fun and to just get to know you a little bit better. So one of the first questions I will ask you is, what would be your theme song? That song when you walk through the doors, you know? That song that just plays every time you...
This was so funny because me and my a sister who I serve in ministry with, we would talk about something and we would start talking about theme music for a particular person, and I died laughing. Okay. So that's funny that you would ask that question. Theme music.
Yeah. What's your theme song? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. You weren't ready for this question.
No, I wasn't, because I'm a musician and I'm like challenged by that because I got all kinds of genres in my head, right? Yeah. You know what? Man, I got to choose one, right?
Just one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. One. I tell you what we're going to do.
Okay.
Ask me the second question because I got to make a decision on this first one. Okay. But ask me the second question and then I'll come back and I'm going to answer that because I got 2 or 3 songs that's running in my head right now and I'm trying to make a decision. So yeah, ask me the second question and then I'll come back to that.
Okay. So my second question for you is, what's your one thing? And I'll describe what that means. So it's that one thing that you use as your motivation or your strength, that thing that you've gone through before. It's something that you have actually experienced yourself, something you have overcome yourself, whatever it is, but you use it now to get through tough situations. So what's your one thing that you've been through that helps to push you forward when the going gets tough?
Um, so my senior year of high school,
Okay.
this is crazy. I got cut my senior year of high school from varsity basketball.
Yikes. Ouch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jacked up
Yeah.
because the dude who they kept, he wasn't sweet, but like that. And so I had to watch my team lose the first 10 basketball games. And my teammates begged me to come back because I was the leader. Didn't come back. But I got a scholarship for classical vocal music at a school about 30 miles away, academic and classical vocal. I went to talk to the basketball coach and I walked on. And I played at this college. And on the weekends on open run at my high school, I went back home with my college practice jersey and killed them every weekend. Every weekend with the coach who cut me.
Mm-hmm.
They may not want you now. In my Mike Jones voice.
I was about to say Mike Jones.
Back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me.
Oh, God, that is hilarious. But yeah, I can see how that would be your one thing, that experience that you say, you know what? It wasn't necessarily the best feeling. It wasn't the my most greatest accomplishment or anything like that. However, I did not let it stop me. I didn't let me just, I didn't let it make me just say, you know what, forget this. All my hopes and dreams were in wanting to do this and wanting to play in any of that. You kept going, and then you ended up coming out as a victor on the other side because you did not give up. Right. So I like that one. Thank you for answering that question. What's your one thing? And I'm not about to let you go because I'm coming back to that first question.
Yes, ma'am. I got you. All right. So I'm a musician. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, all that stuff, right? So if I were to have a theme and I had to narrow this down, that's why I was writing.
Okay.
And I decided sparingly, like 1A, I decided that my theme song would be Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Oh, you went back. Okay.
Yeah.
And why that song?
Because he says in that song the things that he's gone through. And that if he had to really do it all over again, he wouldn't change much. He would do it my way. That's pretty much what he was saying.
Got it. Ooh, yeah, that's a deep concept in a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says, hold on, let me pull up some lyrics.
Okay. Yes, please do. For sure.
He says, and now The end is here. And so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll make it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, and I've traveled each and every highway, and much more, much, much more. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few. But then again, far too few to mention. I did what I had to do. I saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much, much more, I did it my way.
I like that. That was a nice choice. And it's a perfect choice based off of what we discussed today. So it definitely fits. And I can see, yeah, that definitely fits. Yeah. Now you're going to have me go listen to Frank Sinatra today. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, the third verse on that says, hey, he says, for what is a man? This is my favorite verse.
Okay.
For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not. Not to say the things that he truly feels, and not the words of someone who kneels. Let the record shows I took all the blows, and I did it my way.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Waverly. Oh my gosh, I absolutely appreciated this conversation. It's going to be chopped up into maybe 2 or 3 episodes, you know, so we're about to be all across the channel. What I do want to do is I want to give you the floor and just take some time, however much you want to take, and just let us know if, or, you know, what you have going on. If you have a business, church, your music, whatever the case is, your website, any events that may be coming up over the next couple of months. If you have your own podcast, your social media, whatever, please just kind of let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can connect with you, just in case someone relates to what you said.
Got you. So again, I appreciate you for having me. This was fun. You can find me on all social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, at Waverly Kelly. It's one of underneath my screen right there, Waverly Kelly. Right now, my website is being built, waverlykelly.com. Looking to start recording. I've done a lot of stuff for other people. Got some Billboard charted credit, you know, from a while ago, stuff like that. I am a staff pastor at my church, so I'm not the senior pastor, but I operate at Restoration Christian Church of Virginia here in Newport News, Virginia, and serve in any capacity that they need me to, as a pastoral leader. That's pretty much it. I'm writing music, and I'm also writing a book right now. It's called, the title right now, you know how that goes. Yeah. when you're writing. But the title right now is going to be 25 Lessons for 25 Years of Ministry. I've been in ministry 25 years. It's hard to believe, but I've been preaching that long. And I'm just going to talk about 25 things that I learned. And as a teaser, if you don't mind, I'll give one out right now. One of them is, when you're in ministry, and this is for people who are just starting, because the Lord impressed on my heart to start mentoring and leaving nuggets and jewels for the next generation. So one of the nuggets that I wrote and that I'm writing right now is, we have to know the difference when we're dealing with people, because this is ministry is a people business. We have to know the difference between wickedness and weakness. And we had to forgive them both. Peter was weak, and so he denied Christ 3 times, and was remorseful for it, and asked for forgiveness. And when God raised Jesus from the dead, Jesus said, go get my disciples and Peter, and brought him back into relationship. Judas was wicked, and he went off and he killed himself. Forgive what you can forgive for the weak. Forgive what you can forgive for the wicked. And let them both take care of themselves. It's a hard lesson because we'll confuse it. Who is wicked? Who's weak?
Yeah.
And we got to know the difference. So that's the book I'm writing, 25 lessons for 25 years. And I'm stepping into this coaching space, which is tremendous, but yet challenging. Developing a course for public speakers to help public speakers become better public speakers from inception of an idea all the way to completion on the stage. And so I'm developing that. So you can look for that in 2023. Because it's like, wow, trying to, when you do something for so long without thinking about it, you have to reverse engineer the process. And that's what I'm doing right now. And it's like, oh goodness. Okay. Yeah. So I'm like asking people that really know me, that have sat underneath my ministry or heard me speak, and they're telling me, hey, this is what you do. This is how you connect. This is what, you do. This is your process from an external standpoint. I can't depend on them from the internal standpoint. So I'm doing that portion. So look for that in 2023. It's going to be called Now Speaking. Going to be the title. And so it's going to be a coaching program where we're going to literally, get on Zoom or whatever platform we decide through masterminds and things of that nature, and like literally make you bring your message and help you craft it and develop it and get it ready for the masses from a public speaking standpoint. So from idea to conception, and conception to revelation, and from revelation to production, all of that, we're going to do that. So look for that in 2023, up into, going to some place and having a meeting and standing you up and making you go for it. and helping you out, and critiquing and coaching and developing and moving you to a better place. So those are all the things that I'm working on. So y'all pray for me, because it's a lot. And I got 6 kids and a wife. Yeah. So
let's not forget all of that too.
Right. I'm just in here writing and they hungry.
That's hilarious.
It's true.
I believe it. He's like, yeah, but it's true. Yeah.
It's true.
That is awesome. Well, everyone, make sure you go support. There's a lot of things in the works with Waverly. So in order to stay up to date, make sure you follow him on his social media. But other than that, that is it for this episode. If you would like to be a guest, please contact me. Find me on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform at Coach Nrgy, or go to my website, coachnrgy.com, and you can connect with me there. Do not forget to subscribe. If you are already a subscriber, go ahead and share this episode out. But you know what to do. As always, remember, keep smiling. Goodbye. That's it, guys. That was part 2 of the interview with Waverly. Again, I told you did not want to miss this episode or the ending of his entire interview with me. A lot of information. Thank you so much for staying tuned for both episodes. Here you go. All the information is here and available for you. Make sure that you follow and support. Take care.